Cricket presents The Campfire, and today we are heading into our last district in North Texas, District 11-6A. The teams in this district include Cedar Hill, Skyline, DeSoto, Duncanville, Lancaster, Mesquite, Horn, and Waxahachie. Let's analyze this district in our film session. 11-6A is arguably the most competitive district in the entire state. It boasts two state champions in Duncanville and DeSoto. Both will be favored to hoist another trophy this year. DeSoto has just about everything you want in a championship team. Highly ranked skill position players in running back Tiger Ryden and receiver Dalen Singleton, big-time defensive players in Kalen Abrams and Sale Reyes, and a good mix of young and experienced talent. The same can be said for Duncanville, as quarterback Keelan Russell is an Alabama commit, and wide receiver DeCorian Moore is an Oregon commit. The Panthers' secondary is led by Jalen Holiday and Tyron Polley. The Eagles and Panthers' Week 7 game will be the most anticipated game in the state. Cedar Hill finished the regular season 5-5, but had an amazing 4-game run in the playoffs behind first-year head coach Nick Ward. The Longhorns will be extremely loaded on the offensive and defensive lines. Waxahachie was a 9-3 team last year and returned 7 starters on both sides of the ball, including running back Wade Lemons. Lancaster moves up a classification and will be loaded with athletes again, including wideouts Emmanuel Choice and Jaquavius Pipkin. Skyline has a solid linebacking core, which includes Elijah Barnes and Adam Dway. Mesquite ISD may have problems picking up wins in this district. Horn had some late transfers leave the program, but still have Kevin Magera as a talented tight end. Mesquite went winless in district play a year ago and may have the same fate this year.
The Campfire is presented by Cricket. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Wow! At Cricket, get free Samsung Galaxy phones.
Give your taste buds that winning feeling with the new boneless Whataburger from Whataburger. Crispy, tender bites of chicken tossed in your choice of sauce.
The Campfire is brought to you by your Texas Kubota dealers, home of the #1 selling subcompact tractor in Texas. Kubota, together we do more.
For an even deeper look at 11-6A, here's producer Ward Fasold and insider Matt Diggs with the district breakdown.
All right, one last district breakdown. We're in 11-6A. We're playing football next week, Dixie. Good Lord, I can't wait. But there's no sense in not ending this campfire on the most prestigious district in North Texas, 11-6A, 2 state champions in it, tons of playoff possible teams here, but only 4 are going to make it. First, let's just start off with Duncanville and DeSoto because, boy, oh boy, especially with DeSoto, the rich keep getting richer. Heck, we had one kid from St. John Bosco a couple weeks ago make a big old announcement about how he's transferring with graphics and everything over to DeSoto. So DeSoto's getting more players flying in. I'm sure Duncanville has as well. Just talk to me about what you think about those 2 teams and how much better they have gotten over this offseason.
I know one of the debates, and we might even start our podcast out with it, is DeSoto versus Duncanville. Who is the better team right now? Because pretty much everywhere who's doing rankings, you got them 1-2 in some variety, and both of them are pretty much the consensus picks to repeat as state champions and the favorites to do that. And since DeSoto has opted up from 5A to 6A, they're guaranteed to be Division II. Last year, Ward, we're talking about if this happens or this happens, you could see DeSoto end up in Division I. It's none of that this year. They're definitely in Division II. Duncanville is definitely in Division I, so they're going to be separated. For my eyes and what I'm seeing, it just seems like DeSoto has more top-line depth than Duncanville right now. Duncanville has a lot more questions. Duncanville does have the flashier recruits. They got the #1 quarterback in the nation in Keelan Russell, but it seems like DeSoto's got better in just about every other position.
Give me your 1 through 8, and then we'll start getting ready for this season.
Ready, Ward. I'm ready to dig for wisdom after this, but #1, your DeSoto Eagles. #2, Duncanville. #3, Cedar Hill. #4, Lancaster. #5, Waxahachie. #6, Skyline. 7, Mesquite Horn. And 8, the Skeeters of Mesquite.
We'll post the entire breakdown segment this Wednesday on our social media pages. Now let's take a look at some game changers and our players on the rise, brought to you by Parker University. DeCorian Moore of Duncanville is one of the best receivers in the entire nation. If you need stats to prove that claim, just take a look at his junior year. Moore caught 71 passes for over 1,500 yards and 18 touchdowns for the state champion Panthers. DK could very well finish his Duncanville career with over 200 catches and 4,000 yards receiving. Moore verbally committed to Oregon in July. At DeSoto, DeAndre Tiger Ryden is a deadly part of the Eagle ground attack. The senior had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in his last 2 years, and DeSoto won state titles in both of those campaigns. In 2023, Tiger rushed for just over 1,000 yards and 12 scores after missing most of the regular season with an injury. Sky's the limit with a full season under his belt before Ryden heads to Texas A&M for his college ball. Mesquite Horn's Lamont Rogers has the ideal size for an offensive tackle. 6'6.5" and 311 pounds, Rogers is the ultimate blindside blocker. Lamont has above-average speed off the snap as he can be dominant in the running game. He will certainly have his share of top-ranked defensive players to block in this district before heading to Missouri for his college ball. Elijah Barnes of Skyline is one of the most talented linebackers in North Texas. For the Raiders a year ago, Barnes tallied 112 tackles, 16 for loss, and 7 sacks as he was hard to guard. Barnes also snuck in on offense where he rushed for 253 yards and 4 scores. But it's athleticism off the ball as a linebacker that landed him a spot in Austin next year to play for the Texas Longhorns. Players on the Rise is brought to you by Parker University. Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today.
The Campfire is presented by Cricket. Smile, you're on Cricket.
At Cricket, get free Samsung Galaxy phones.
The Campfire is brought to you by Golden Chick. One taste and you're golden. Our Ward Fasold caught up to Cedar Hill head coach Nick Ward to talk about his Longhorns in our Media Day segment.
All right, it's Media Day. We are talking 11-6A. This is the district we've been kind of waiting to get to the whole summer long because let's face it, it's the power district. I'm joined by Cedar Hill head coach Nick Ward. And coach, I got to ask you first about your first year because Cedar Hill fans were expecting a turnaround, and it didn't look so good at the beginning, but boy, oh boy, did you turn it around down the stretch. I think you won, 7 out of your last 8 or 8 out of your last 9 and went all the way to the regional final. Talk about that first year for you and what you got out of it for yourself.
It was a rough start. What people didn't know was that we lost our quarterback, our running back, our outside linebacker. We lost about 6 kids, all during the summer. And our quarterback, he got compartment syndrome in his leg, and hell, I didn't know what that was. So that was a new one for me. That was a first, and luckily he was okay, and they were able. He could still play, but his career was in jeopardy. There for a second, and so. We went through trials and tribulations a little bit earlier. And so we had to find a way to manage, without some of our stars, and some kids had to step up. And, the game of football changes by the year. So, we went through it and we were able to pull ourselves out of it and become a stronger team towards the end. And when you play Duncanville and DeSoto, when you have them in your district and the way that they are playing these last, 4 or 5 years, that makes a difference once you get to the playoffs. And so they probably helped us more than any other team because, the level that they're playing at right now. And so once we reached the playoffs, we were able to, we kind of did our thing. Our kids got a little bit open. It helps when you know that you don't have a Duncanville to play in the playoffs, the first round. So we were, our kids were motivated, and it turned our season around.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate you joining us, and good luck this season.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
You can catch the entire interview Friday on our social media channels. That's going to do it for the Campfire this summer. We hope you enjoyed our summer-long previews. Next week, it all begins as we take you to the Friday Night Lights. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great week, everybody.